and welcome to the 32nd annual Valley City State Hall of Fame banquet. My name is Corey Anderson. I'll be your host for this evening. We want to congratulate all the individuals and their support groups that are here this evening, and hope everybody can enjoy the festivities as we go into the evening. We want to have a big shout out and thanks to Valley City State University for sharing their wonderful campus and providing us the perfect setting for this event. And special recognition at this time too to Mark Potts. Mark Potts, please stand up. He is the Sports Information Director here. That position has came a long ways, and Mark does a great job in providing everything tonight that will be for your viewing pleasure. At this time, I would like to call on Dr. Margaret Dahlberg, the Interim President of Valley City State University.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to campus. Mike and I are friends right now, but we'll figure it out. I'd like to welcome all of you to campus, and I would also then like to say to our alumni, to our students, to our current faculty, and to the coaches who are here, welcome home. Welcome back to campus, but also welcome home to campus. A lot of our students tell us over the years that they, during their experiences here at VCSU, have felt like they found a second home or a second family. They find a place here at Valley City that pays attention to their needs, that helps them grow, and helps them get ready to succeed in whatever work they're going to do when they leave here. I hope for all of our alums here today that was true for you while you were here. And that when you come back to Valley City, you also feel like you're coming home. You're finding the friends and the faculty that you knew and the coaches that you knew when you were here before, and that you feel very welcomed back to the place where you got your start in your college career. So thank you all for coming tonight, and once again, to all of you, welcome home. We're glad you're here.
And also at this time, I'd like to call the athletic director, Ms. Jill DeReese, to the podium.
Welcome. Congratulations to our 2018 class, our Hall of Fame class. Really appreciate the tremendous turnout here today. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. You know, my very first Hall of Fame was in 1999 here, my very first fall. And one of my friends got inducted actually into the Hall of Fame, Terry Stargard, and we played softball together, co-ed softball together. And then, you know, this year I have a friend, Tracy, who we also played softball together. So, you know, athletics has a kind of a strange way of letting you meet people from all facets of the world, and you know, in athletics, doesn't matter where you came from. Sometimes it doesn't even really matter how good you are, it just matters that you enjoy it the same way, have the same passion and love for the game. And so, thanks to all for coming. I'd like to introduce a couple of different groups of people that we invited here tonight. We're trying to sort of, you know, bridge the current Valley City State athletes and the former Valley City State athletes who shared their talents, you know, back in the 80s and the 90s. And some of you even farther back. And so, but before I do that, I would like to introduce probably our oldest gentleman, our oldest student athlete who is here today, and that is Cy Word. Cy, welcome back. 97 years old. He will turn 98 very soon. Cy is a 1938 grad of St. Kate's here in town. And he's also a 1942 grad at Valley City State University. And he played football here while he was a student. He's been back for just about 35 consecutive years. He missed 1 year because his wife passed away, but 35 consecutive years is pretty awesome. So thank you, Cy. We really do appreciate your commitment, dedication, and your example of what it really means to be a Viking. I'd also like to thank Corey for agreeing to MC tonight's festivities. It's always fun, obviously, to have one of our own to do that, partly because he just knows so much about all the inductees. Whether he played with them, or coached with them, or coached against them, or not against them, I guess he coached against them, but might have coached some of them. He's been around a long time, or at least around VCSU a long time. Not as long as Cy. Close. I'd like to introduce some of our current student athletes who are here tonight. First and foremost, I'd like to introduce our homecoming queen, who is a student athlete here at VCSU and plays on our softball team. This happens to be Corey's daughter, Katie Anderson. Our student body president here at Valley City State is also a student athlete. She plays on the volleyball team, and her name is Autumn Johnson. And so Autumn is a senior here at VCSU, and she's not able to attend tonight because she is at rehearsal because she has a choir concert tonight across the street. So when you get done here tonight, if you want to go hear Autumn and the rest of the Valley City singers, Valley City State singers, walk across the street. They're going to be performing. I'd also then like to introduce I would like to ask all student athletes who are in attendance, current student athletes who are in attendance, to please stand. That our presentations tonight, our reminiscing tonight, our tradition will really inspire those young people to become their best selves, whether that's on the field, on the court, in the classroom. So thank you. I'd also like to have our coaching staff please stand. If you are a Viking coach. We're missing the football staff. They haven't had great weather, and so have had an interesting week of practice, and so they're practicing a little bit longer today because it might be the first one they've had all week due to rain, snow, obviously, in preparation for hopefully a victory tomorrow against Waldorf University. I'd also, we'd be remiss if we did not say thank you to Kim Hesh for helping to organize this, so I'd like to give Kim a round of applause, please. I too am very grateful for Mark Potts, perhaps the hardest working man in athletics. He does a fantastic job. He really makes me and our student athletes and coaches look good, So, but just by his special talent. So if we could give him one more round of applause. In athletics, the one thing about athletics is that, people truly do say this and they believe this, that, athletics brings out people's character. And whether that's true or not, I guess you can decide that for yourself. But there is one thing that I do know that athletics does. It really does show a person's ingenuity and their intellectual agility. It shows their physical grace, of course, courage, and their ability to inspire others. And I hope that you will have the ability to inspire us all tonight, and you'll all be inspired to come tomorrow, dressed warm, and cheer on the Vikings. Thank you.
It is good to have those seniors here. And as many of you probably would know, thank goodness that Katie gets her looks from her mom and not her dad. To those seniors, you got about 7 months left, and these guys that are going into Hall of Fame tonight will tell you that you got to cherish those times because they don't last forever. Unless you're Pete Leno and you do it for 7 years, then I guess it does, right? But that happens. Charlene Stenson. Is Charlene Stenson here tonight? Charlene, can I have you stand up, please? Can we give Charlene a round of applause? Charlene had gave me $10 earlier and asked me if I would do that for her. She said it's been a long time since she's had a standing ovation because she played here so long ago. She also wanted me to tell you that there are no truths to the rumors going around that the naming rights for the gym across the street came down to her and Charlotte Gratian, that it really wasn't like that she's not that old. Okay. So I know that you've heard that before, and the reason that I bring that story up is because it was a favorite of Bob King's. And obviously in April of this past year, we lost Bob. He was one of the all-time greatest Vikings to bless this campus. His contributions to VCSU are nearly infinite, and they're very well known. From 1986 to 2013, he was in this position up here, and he did it with grace. It was effortless and very, very eloquent. And we miss Bob dearly. He did that every year except for his induction year. And at this time, we would actually like to take a look back at some of Bob's best and recognize some other fallen Hall of Famers.
I was supposed to announce that immediately following this, we're going to have a 100-meter runoff in the parking lot. Doc Hayes, Ronald Goodmanson, and Larry Gooders. I haven't seen this banquet for how many every year it's been. And it's a thrill to be up here in a different capacity. I'm happy that they had to bring a pro in to replace me. But really, honestly, Dan, after about the first 2 or 3 stories, I'm sure I'll be back next year. I had an opportunity to go down and work with Jim for about 3 years as an offensive backing coach. And I was up in the press box during games, supposedly to help call plays. I think I called once. Most of the time, he'd get excited, and the head chant would be on the ground, and I'd be just sitting up there watching the game. So I really did that.
Normally at this time, I introduce all the individual Hall of Fame members that are here. But because of the senior movement, I thought this thing started an hour later. My college days were wonderful. We were 4-time conference champions in those 4 years, and also have the privilege of beating the Pumpkinheads 4 straight years, which is always important too. But it was just such a fun experience that, and then being able to come back and become part of the whole process really has been an important part of my life.
to recognize this time Bob's family that's sitting in the center and also his extended family. It's great to have their presence here. They will carry on that legacy tremendously. So thank you and God bless. At this time, I would like to call Cloris Olson, a student athlete. Clarissa was an All-American volleyball player last season. She's in the middle of a tremendous senior season right now. She too is also a legacy. Her father, Al, is in attendance here tonight, Coach Olson. Uncle Steve told her to make sure she did a good job tonight as well. So with that, Miss Olson.
Would you please join me in prayer? Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to celebrate the accomplishments of these amazing athletes. We thank you for giving us the ability to play in your name and glorify your name in athletics, and also for providing us with the chance to share our talents at the collegiate level. Thank you for all of the relationships that we've built here as Vikings and guiding us on our path here at VCSU. We also want to thank you for this wonderful meal, and please keep us safe as we travel home after this fun homecoming weekend. In your name we pray, amen.
All right, let's eat. As some of you start finishing up your meals, we're going to get on with our program here. At this time, we'd like to do some more recognition. Since it is our 32nd year and we do have a lot of Hall of Famers that have already been inducted that are present here tonight, would those past Hall of Famers please stand up? We can recognize you. Also, anybody that was a member of a team that was inducted into a Hall of Fame, any team members, please stand up and be recognized. All those winners congregating together. I'd also like to recognize our Hall of Fame committee, or as we know it as the Alumni Letter Winners Club. Don Bauer is our chair. Larry Robinson, Dave Bass, Diane Burr, Larry Gruters, Mary Lee Nielsen, Al Olson, the governor is here, I think. Al? Yep, there he is. And thanks to that group. And now the reason that we're all here, to celebrate and reflect on a group of Vikings who have notched their place in Viking lore. We'll start out this evening with Stacy Fitter. Stacy, our first inductee. I had the opportunity as a sophomore in college. Stacy came in as a freshman. Coach Dew did a great job with that class. There's 3 Hall of Famers in that class: Tyler Schlecht, Darren Lowe, and Stacy Fitter this evening. And Stacy, along with Scott Radloff, I would consider 2 of the best hitters that have ever played baseball at Valley City State. And I'll never forget Stacy's freshman year. We ventured down to Oklahoma to play against some very tough competition. And Tyler Schlecht would always lead off the game, and Tyler would get 40 walks a year and have 40 stolen bases, and he was just an on-base machine. And after an injury to Jim Bigelow, Stacy hit in the 3rd hole. So Coach Dew, as smart a coach as he was, he would find his weakest hitter and put him in the 2 slot. Hit behind Tyler, you saw a lot of fastballs. They didn't want him to steal, and Stacy was coming up, and you didn't want to walk anybody, so that person was going to get pitched to. So those two hitters, how good Stacy was, those two hitters in his career always had their best years in front of him. And that first freshman year, we had a lot of new people, and Coach Dew must only have known my name, so he put me in the 2-hole that year. And I did have a really good year, but I will always remember that if there was 0 outs or 1 out, and Tyler was on base, he would come up to me and he'd say, okay, if you get to 2 strikes, I don't want you to swing, because you'll hit a weak ground ball, you're slow, and it'll be a double play. And Stacy's coming up and he'll hit a home run. The other thing I remember is a year that Stacy got hurt. He played about half a season and arguably had 20 of the best games that a guy could have. Hit 11 home runs, 485, was on an unbelievable tear that year, missed our last 19 games. And I don't know how things would have ended up, but I have a feeling that it would have been quite remarkable. So that first at bat, second day of his career, 12 scouts in the stands, left-handed pitcher. Stacy's a left-handed hitter throwing 90 plus miles an hour, and he greets the guy with a home run. It's at that time that we knew that he was pretty special. So at this time, Stacy will be presented into the Hall of Fame by Coach Dew, and here's his video.
Stacy Fitter left his mark on Baily City State as one of the best hitters to ever take the field for the Vikings. A native of Mandan, Stacy made his Viking baseball debut in the spring of 1986. There was no freshman slump for the quiet left-handed slugger. Playing in the outfield and batting in the heart of the order, Stacy hit .386 as a freshman and led the team with 8 home runs and 47 RBIs. Stacy was named All-Conference and All-District as a freshman, something he would accomplish all 4 years of his Viking career. In 1987, Stacy helped our team to a conference championship and the first and only NAIA district championship in program history. In 1988, Stacy set a school record that will likely never be broken, putting together an unheard of .485 batting average for the entire season. As a senior in 1989, Stacy hit a school record 14 home runs. Stacy was a player who led by example, going out and getting the job done over and over again. He finished his time at VCSU with a career batting average of .376 and a school record of 40 home runs and RBIs 170. Stacy was also named NAIA Scholar Athlete as a senior, earning a degree in math education. I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Joe Stickler, the Math and Science Department, for visiting with Stacy on his recruiting visit, as that made a tremendous effect in his decision to attend Baily City State. Congratulations on your honor, Stacy. Welcome to the Viking Hall of Fame.
Didn't know until before the supper that we actually had a little speech. So I'm kind of wondering if they tell all inductees that just to get them to show up. But I'll try to wing it here. First I want to thank my family who joined me here. I have my mom and dad, and my brother fortunately came up from New Orleans to a wedding, and it just happened to coincide at this time, so that was great. And I got my 4 wonderful children here. And then I also want to thank Coach Dew. he was a great influence on all of the baseball players. I have to say, he's a pretty straight arrow. I still remember going on college road trips, and we had to go to church every Sunday. When we went into restaurants, even if it wasn't McDonald's, we had to take our hats off. So I really appreciate all he's done for us, not just for baseball, but just life in general. One thing I gotta say too is, he, and athletic directors would appreciate this, he kept his budget very tight. They know what I'm talking about. The first time we ever went down to Oklahoma, I was a freshman, and we're driving down there, and it's like a 21-hour drive, right? And we drove all 21 hours straight. There was no stopping in between and halfway and getting a hotel. No, we drove the whole thing straight. Had to sleep on the bus. And that first trip, it was getting lunchtime. And I think Corey will remember this. He probably had it happen before that too. But it's lunchtime, and Coach says, we're going to stop for a meal. And I'm thinking McDonald's or something like that, something quick. But we pull into a parking lot of a grocery store, and I'm thinking, why are we stopping? And Coach gets out, doesn't say a word, and I'm thinking, well, maybe he's just picking up some snacks or something. Well, he comes out with like 6 loaves of bread, a thing full of deli meat, and we get on the bus, we start driving, and he's making sandwiches and passing them back. And I'm just like, okay. This is what it's going to be like for the next 4 years, I guess. Thanks, Coach Duke. I really appreciate it. And, when I got the call, just the memories that it brought back to me instantly. Corey mentioned some of the guys like Tyler Schlecht himself. He was a better hitter than he led on to be. Scott Newstad, Scotty Yates. They made my life easier as the 3-hitter for getting on base. It makes it easier for, when the guys are in base, it makes it easy. And those guys made it easier for me. Darren Lowe, tremendous pitcher. He got drafted, and he was one of the core of our team too. And it was a fun 4 years. We contended with Mayville every day in year, and we only got them once, but it was a fun 4 years. And I just want to thank Valley City State for the great education. I saw Mr. Brushwine here today, and I talked with him. He was a wonderful teacher, and Roger Brand, he was probably one of my favorite math teachers of all time. But it's not just about the sports and stuff. It's about the education and learning life lessons. And I just want to thank everyone, and thank you all.
You forget something?
I want to say one other thing. I'm getting older, I'm like him. But when our pictures were up there, my daughter was sitting beside me, and I said, "You believe that's me up there?" And she's looking at it, and she goes, "No, you look so different. Your mustache looks different." And then she said, "Why do you look so mean?" I'm like, what? So I had to tell him that. So.
Stacy also informed me, he said, "Hey, I don't lead off. I hit third. I don't know what I'm doing coming up here this early, but good job, Stacy." Our next inductee is Jeff Volk. Jeff was a senior when I was a freshman, and you talk about a guy free safeties aren't built like that. Tall, strong, intimidating, and then you get him off the field, and he's a pretty fun-loving guy. And as a lot of veterans do, they spend their summers in Valley City. And he decided that summer he was going to be in Valley City and he was going to work at the Bubble. And fun-loving guy that he is, and teasing, and when you work at the Bubble, you work for Keith Baumgartner. Keith is in here, right? Or is Keith not? I saw him earlier. And you work for Dick Huey. And two of the greatest individuals we could have had at the field house. And when you worked with Keith, he was your equipment manager, and Jeff was always trying to work him for good equipment. And it's a really hard thing to do to get good equipment on a Dick, and he would give them a bad time, and they would tease, and they would go on and on and on. And so one day their job was to go outside and to the big concrete blocks in the parking lot that you stop at, they had to paint them yellow. Well, it took 3 people to do that. Keith was going to paint them. Jeff was going to hold it down so it didn't move, and Dick was going to hold the paint can. So they're proceeding to go along with this, and Dick, as he could do, was really giving Jeff a bad time, razzing him. And he reaches over. After a while, he's so fed up, he grabs Dick by the cap, and he's going to pull his cap off him. Well, little did he know, something else came with it. And it fell in the yellow paint can. So Dick pulled his toupee out of the paint can, brushed it off, and threw it back on. Well, at least then we knew that year, finally by the end of the year, where that tint in his hair came from. But fun-loving guy, awesome player. We'll present Jim Dew again. We'll present into the Hall of Fame, Mr. Jeff Volk.
Jeff Volk was probably one of the top 3 defensive backs I ever coached. He had size, quickness, range, and he was ornery. Jeff was basically a linebacker playing strong safety, and he would hit you like it. The native of Rugby, North Dakota, Jeff competed in both football and track and field while in VCSU in the early 1980s. Jeff helped our football team win 3 straight conference championships from 1982 to 84. As a junior in 1983, he was named All-Conference, All-District, and Honorable Mention All-American. Jeff had his best statistical year as a senior on our 1984 conference championship team. He totaled 71 tackles and broke up 6 passes en route to an honorable mention all-conference season. He was named the team's co-captain, co-MVP, and top hitter as a senior. Jeff finished his career with 173 tackles, 5 interceptions, and 22 passes broken up. In track and field, Jeff was named team captain in 1985 and still has the 4th fastest 110-meter hurdle time in school history. Congratulations, Jeff. Welcome to the Viking Hall of Fame.
Stacy, they did tell me I needed to make a speech. I don't know what they did to you, but I'm going to try and wing it too as well. But when I got the call from Jill earlier this spring or late winter, I kind of wanted to jump up and down and scream yes, and I was so happy, and at the same time I was very humbled, very honored to be included in the group of men and women that have represented Valley City State University. I thought about the things that got me here. I was very happy to be blessed by God for the people that put me in that position to succeed. First off, I want to thank my mom. My mom is here at Lois. She raised a family of 4 boys. No father figure in sight, but she never kept us from doing what we wanted to do. She wanted us to achieve whatever we wanted. She was always there for support. She made sure we had basketball shoes, football spikes, baseball gloves, whatever it was. Mom made sure that we had it, and I can't thank her enough for that. Another person that I was blessed with to have in my life was my high school football coach, Coach Slade. Invited him here tonight. He couldn't make it. He had self in the winter. His health isn't that good, but I got to visit with him this summer. Great guy, stand-up person, knew his sports, no-nonsense kind of guy. He just taught us a lot about, how to be as a person, how to earn respect, how to be respected, how to respect people, and just to go out and compete to the best of your abilities. Everybody talks about New Rockney speeches, things like that. I got one good story about Coach Lay when we were in high school. We were playing Minot High when I was a junior. We were a farming community, Rugby, North Dakota. Graduated 130 kids in my class. We played Minot High in the quarterfinals of the state football tournament, Class A. Minot had probably 500 guys per class. We showed up with our 40-man roster. They had probably about 120 guys standing out there doing cal and getting ready for the game. The coach pulled us in the locker room just before the game. He had a high voice, so it's kind of funny. I don't want to make fun of him because he was a hell of a guy, but he's like, they put their pants on one leg at a time just like we do. They're not in the air just throwing them on. So he just told us to go out there and do the best we could. And we beat Minot High in the quarterfinals, ended up losing in the semis to Fargo South, but he just always wanted you to compete. And he did me a heck of a favor. My senior year, I got to play 3 games, and I broke my collarbone. So I didn't get to play football the rest of the year. Coach Lay was a Valley City State alum. Got a hold of Coach Dew, put my name in there. Coach Dew came and recruited me and gave me a chance to play football at Valley City State. I want to thank Coach Dew for taking a chance on a skinny kid from Rugby, North Dakota. We played 3 games a senior year. For giving me the opportunity to show up and try and play some football at Valley City State. And I appreciate your effort of getting me to this point that I am right now. Thank you, Coach Dew. A couple other coaches that were very important to me. Coach Lemnis, defensive coordinator when I played here. Another great guy. Another guy that just gave me an opportunity to be the player that I could be. Put me in good situations. Just took my natural talent and let me use it. Coach Bass. I know he's out here somewhere. Coach Bass was one of the assistants in football. He's also the head track coach. On me all the time. I'm out for track. I hated running. I hated track. But he kept on me, and I went out for track, and it was probably the best thing I did. It helped me become a better athlete. It helped me play year-round, and I appreciate all you did for me with that as well. Thank you. Last but not least, I got to talk about my teammates, my brothers. I was blessed with some of the best teammates a guy could ask for. I came in here as a freshman. I looked around. I got Volsteads, Radloff, Huey, Matthews, Warner, Black, Sampson, Latossi, Brewer, Thorpe, all these guys, Peterson, Lunsky. And I'm thinking to myself, oh my God, what did I get myself into? And these guys were some players, and even some of the coaches. We had Zeke, we had Pete Hughes, Mark Spatana, Mike Callahan, guys that had just come off of a run in the NAIA playoffs, won a big game down in Texas, went out to Washington. I mean, just some great players, but some of the best guys you could have as teammates. And then moving forward with the guys that I played with, the stories I could tell, it just makes me smile. I mean, everybody was great. It was great to play in those teams. I think back about the huddles, I can remember things vividly. I can remember getting beat on a long pass play and just barely getting my hand up there, knocking the ball away and running back to the huddle, and everybody's looking at me. I'm like, I won't do it again, man. I won't do it again. And everybody's like, no, you're good. You're good. I mean, they all had my back. It was awesome. Teddy Knutson calling plays. You couldn't understand him sometimes. Understand him, but hell of a player. JT's here. JT just waiting for the next play so he can light somebody else up. The guy was just a phenomenal player. Jed Klein will be up here at Hilltop. Another phenomenal player I played with. Doug Shindley. Doug Shindley would complain every time we'd come back to the huddle because I was hitting him too hard. He'd stand people up so I could take him down, and then he'd complain to me about hitting him too hard. Or Jerry Crossbach could just stand in the huddle waiting for the next play so he could do everything technically proper. Honestly, these guys were the best teammates that a guy could ask for. And any successes that I've ever had come from playing with these guys, because we were all together. It was just a great bunch of guys, and a lot of these guys I still golf with every summer. A lot of these guys I went to their kids' graduations, I went to their kids' weddings. I mean, these guys are the best friends that I will ever have, and I can't ask for more than that. My sons are here tonight, Trey and Isaac. I'm happy to share this with them. I've told them all these stories. They're probably sick of listening to them, but I got to share it with them. They actually got to be here for it, so it's a dream come true. In closing, I want to thank everybody that has been part of my life, that God has put in my life to bless my life, and I want to especially thank the Hall of Fame committee for their part in making a dream of mine a reality. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Our next inductee this evening is Jed Klein. The scene is April 1980, and Jed Klein's Thompson Tommies come to Mackville, North Dakota for a high school baseball game. And up to the plate comes a 5'10", 235-pound catcher from Thompson, confidently stepping into the plate to face a 5'10", 135-pound 8th grader from Mackville. Well, we all know how that at bat ended up. Jed hit a monstrous home run and put his team ahead early in that game. Well, that 8th grader's got to come to the plate the next inning, and the catcher says to him, "Son, keep working at it. You play long enough, you'll give up enough home runs, you'll put a lot of people in the Hall of Fame." Jed, I just want to tell you, I appreciate that advice. I did that. I have put a lot of people in the Hall of Fame, and it was a good lesson. Now present into the Hall of Fame, Coach Dew will present Jed Klein.
Jed Klein was a two-sport standout at Valley City State in the early 1980s, excelling as a catcher on the baseball diamond and a defensive lineman on the football field. We recruited Jed out of Thompson, North Dakota to play major roles in both sports, and he delivered. Jed helped our team to 5 conference championships during his time in the Viking, winning 3 conference titles in football and 2 in baseball. On the football field, Jed was known as a quick defensive lineman who could get off the ball and give offensive linemen fits.
Lots of guys there, led by Jed Klein. Klein is really playing a good game as a defensive tackle.
After playing 9-man football in high school, he adjusted and thrived under Coach Don Lemus' defensive schemes over his final 2 years as a Viking. As a junior in 1982, Jed racked up 60 tackles and 3.5 sacks and was named honorable mention all-conference on our championship team. As a senior, Jed helped lead our team to another conference championship as he totaled 91 tackles and 4 sacks. He earned all-conference, all-district, and honorable mention all-American as a senior. On the baseball diamond, Jed played 3 seasons as catcher and helped the team to conference titles in 1981 and 82. His best individual year came in 1982 when he batted .298 and had an on-base percentage of .522. Congratulations on your accomplishments, Jed. Welcome to the Viking Hall of Fame.
First of all, I want to say a big thank you to the Viking Hall of Fame committee. It's an honor today, and I truly a thrill for me to join some of the current Hall of Fame members. To Tracy, to Stacy, and my boy from rugby, congratulations, second tonight. I'd like to recognize my family here today. My mom is here, my rock, my Aunt Dorothy, and my cousin Mike. By the way, Mike's part owner of the Fireside in Detroit Lakes. If I mention it, I get 15% off. My biggest fan is here, my sister, Malata, my brother-in-law, Mike, and Brent and his wife, Dawn. Thank you for coming. My wife of 28 years never grew tired of hearing about my Valley City stories. Never, once. Well, maybe she did. She didn't tell me about it. So, my 2 daughters are here, Mackenzie, Madison, and Mackenzie's boyfriend, Cody. Thanks for coming today. I thank you for your patience in trying to understand how I tick. Sometimes I don't. My son Marcus couldn't be here today because I think right about now he's beating up on some Thief River prowlers. He's up at Thief River playing, he's an inside linebacker. And he kind of reminds me of my friend Ted Knudsen, how he used to direct the defense and how he used to command the huddle so well, and how he used to direct fat defensive linemen into the right spot. It was me usually, but thank you, Ted, for helping me with that. He reminds me of you. And so with that, thank you, family, for all being here. I appreciate it. Before I move on, I've got a special Valley City story I'd like to tell. I'm particularly proud of this kid because he enrolled in Valley City in 2003. And he finished about 3+ years of studies. But unfortunately, due to family reasons, he decided to drop out and did not complete his bachelor's degree. Now, because I believe God has a plan for all of us, and this kid had to follow that path, his uncle gave him many examples of taking those paths. But he had to discover over time that he had to finish that degree. It was going to make a big difference in his life. House full of kids, a new house. Current employer would not let him into management until he got that degree. proud to share with you that my nephew, Brent, after 12 years of being out of school, is scheduled to graduate this December from Valley City State University. So a lot of memories here at Valley. Started about 30-some years ago, but it all started with Coach Du walking into the Thompson Tommy gym, watching me play basketball. Yes, I played basketball. And I was so proud because that day I know I touched the net, the bottom of the net, at least 3 times. It showed my vertical on the film too. Coach, you know how important you are to me. You started and built this family of Vikings. And yes, it's true, I am proud to be called one of your sons. You've given us so much, and I personally want to thank you for providing the foundation of faith. Jeff mentioned faith. I think Tracy did too. Right. Belief in each other and examples of character for me during a very important time in my life. So Coach Du, I thank you also for everything you did. It all started again with my mom dropping me off at college. And picture a freshman in bib overalls, and I had a shirt on, Billy. A straw hat, baby. And just excited to maybe become a Viking and play a ball at Valley City. But my mom, she had a greeting that was very unique. She came in, we drove in, she had a big smile on her face, and she was unpacking, getting ready to unpack the car. We pulled up in front of coal stove, and there's Mike Callahan with a muscle shirt on, a mohawk. Next to him is Joe Denomi, with the same mohawk, sunglasses, arms crossed like this. They're sitting in chairs out front of Coastal like this. And Mom's smile went. She looks at me, and she looks at them, looks at me, looks at them. She says, "You are not playing football." And I told her that really was the only time I never listened to my mom. I usually always do, but I didn't listen to her that time, so Mom, I apologize. But it's been a nice run. Another story I'd like to share, you know, friends can be brutally honest. And Jay Matthews can be very short and pungent. No pun intended. Here. I remember the day Jay said, Vic, he said, "You got to get into shape. You're not in shape. You got to get into shape." I think it was his senior year, my junior year. So he said, you're fat, you're out of shape, and you ease. I got a chew toy that sounds like you for my dog. You got to get into shape. So we decided, Jay's idea, we're going to go to the Red River track and run in the summer after work. I said, okay, I'll meet you there. We got there, and so he didn't tell me he didn't have a key to the track. So we had to climb over the fence to get into the track and run. So Jay jumps over first, and I was supposed to follow. By the time I got off the fence, he had 1.5 miles in already. So my shorts were caught on the fence, I couldn't get off the fence. But Jay, thanks for trying. You did a good job, you tried. So I did some research on the Hall of Fame, and you're going to like this one, Jeff. Did you know since '76, roughly 40 years, there's only 28 Hall of Fame inductees in football. 14 on defense, 14 on offense until today. And all the defensive linemen that were named on this are, Coach, if I get these wrong, I apologize. Bill Baranek, Jerome Huck, Jim Thies, Lloyd Joseph, Pat O'Brien, Randy Betzinger, and now this kid from Thompson. So 7. And I played with 2 of the other 6 on the field. I'm kind of proud of that. It gets better. By the way, defensive backs, safeties. How many do you think there are, Jeff? 4. John Bolstead, Pete Hughes, Scott Radloff, and now this boy from rugby. And I played with all 4. Talk about teammates, huh? Talk about quality teammates. I'm very humbled by sharing that same platform with all of you, but none of you appreciate me more than I do. I'm extremely blessed. Picture in baseball is a little different. There's 10 baseball players that are inducted since '76. You'll remember some of these names. Eric Jorgensen, Mark Smetana, Scott Radloff, Terry Stargard, Brent Lick, Doug Black, Darren Lowe, Steve Olson, Jeremy Heschel, thank you, Tyler Schleck, and today 2 more used to play at Charlie Brown Field were inducted. That's pretty nice. And I played with 5 of those other 10. Again, teammates. teammates. It was, I'm sure they all were talented, but it was something about catching Brent Lick that I'll never forget, that slider that he had. And I'll never forget Scott Radloff's major league swing. I could never master it. I tried. He tried to teach me, I couldn't do it. And Terry Stargard had a range in the glove that was incredible. Nobody could get a baseball past him. It was just incredible. I'm very blessed to be on the field with those players. But probably my biggest win, I think, it comes from, I think, and what I cherish the most is the countless friends I've met and continue to have as an important part of my life because of my time here at Baily City. As these friendships were formed, I did not realize how important they would be to me later in life. No clue. I'm truly cherished and cannot wait for our next conversation. Seeing you all today, you can't believe how blessed I am. I'm just very, very impressed. Whether they were teammates or classmates, or friends I've met through them, one thing that consistently connects me with this community, I'd like to thank all the residents and businesses of Baily City who continue to used to treat, and I believe still do treat, this campus as their own and just love and support this Baily City State campus. So I want to thank you for that. I'll close with a couple of stories. I was stumped the other day when a teammate of mine, Jimmy Thies, challenged me with a statement. And quote, I say, "Who would have figured us guys from where we all were from would be good buddies still today?" I didn't have an answer for Jimmy. I just know this. Can you picture us without each other? I can't. Grateful for what I've received and the joy that comes from knowing each and every one. Lastly, a wise old friend of mine told me, you need 3 or 4 things to play this game. Strength, speed, intelligence, or heart. You gotta have 3 of those things to play this game. I know I only have 2. I'll let you decide which 2. I was successful for one reason only, because my teammates had those other 2 categories covered for me. I believe that to this day. Thank you for this honor. Go Vikings. God bless.
That is only the start. Our last inductee is Tracy Bailey McGillis. Tracy arrived on campus here, and at that time I was a baseball coach, and we saw the signing list, and here's a softball player from Oak River, Manitoba, and I'm thinking, oh my goodness. The only person ever to come to Baily City State from Oak River previous to Tracy was James Heapy. And he was a teammate of Stacy's and mine, and we thought, wow, this will be really interesting. Well, Tracy got here and she was a much better player than James was. And I was always jealous as a baseball coach because every time they played on the same days that we did, I was worried about my pitching staff and what I was putting together and did I have enough arms, and Tracy would roll out, win a game, roll out, win a game. Just bam, 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 win, 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 win. Just great player. So I asked her, all right, I can always learn. So Tracy, what makes you so successful? What is it that you do? How can I get my pitchers to be that way? And she didn't have a whole lot to say to me other than, well, you know what my name is in Chinese? And I'm like, no. And she goes, well, it's ka-ching. I go, ka-ching? She's like, yeah, every time I take the mound, I know I am money every time. Ka-ching, ka-ching, ka-ching. Well, to this day, she's still setting records. About 40 people here, that's about 26% of Oak River, although I think a lot of them are from Mayville. So, anyway, at this time, we proudly induct. Diane Burr will present Tracy Bailey into the Hall of Fame.
Tracy Bailey started on the softball diamond during her Viking career in the mid-90s, earning all-conference honors 3 times at VCSU. A native of Oak River, Manitoba, Tracy joined our Viking family in the fall of 1992 as a 2-sport athlete with both the softball and volleyball teams. Early in her softball career, Tracy suffered a rotator cuff injury and was forced to sit out the 1994 season. In that era, that type of injury was devastating for softball pitchers and many times career-ending. But Tracy fought her way back to the mound and had a breakout year in 1995. Tracy was an outstanding pitcher, but she also handled the bat as good as anyone and managed the infield as a shortstop. She was named All-Conference and All-Sectional in 1995, and she repeated those honors each of the next 2 years. As a senior, she led the Vikings to a second-place finish in the NDCAC. Tracy's successful career was recognized by the conference coaches when she was named the conference's most valuable graduating senior in 1997. Tracy was a dominant all-around player for the Vikings. She excelled as a pitcher, hitter, and infielder. I would have to say that of all the athletes I had the good fortune to coach, Tracy just had that special competitive spirit. She used her competitive instincts to lead and to push her teammates in a positive fashion. When I remember my coaching moments, Tracy Bailey is one of those great Viking women athletes that come to the forefront. They made a difference, and they helped show everyone who watched them play that women belong on the field and on the court. Congratulations, Tracy. Welcome to the Viking Hall of Fame.
I'm just glad I went here after color film was invented. Sorry, guys. First, I want to sincerely thank everyone that had a role in this induction. It's an amazing honor to be recognized in this capacity, and I cannot adequately express my gratitude. The only way to really begin this story is with Once Upon a Time. I found a game that I loved. I spent a lot of time trying to improve my game. My dad built a tarp on pulleys in the shop so we could practice through the winter. He caught a lot of my pitches for me, and as we tried to perfect different spins, increase speed, and work spots. My parents' support was instrumental, not to mention my sister, who has been my biggest, most consistent, never let me down guiding light. Except when she told me pop tastes better when you suck it through a straw up your nose. I can assure you it does not. Anyway, just like a team when you're on the field, there are a lot of moving pieces, and it really is rare to have that championship team where all those stars align. I have my summer softball team, awesome women to be around, almost all younger than me, but I enjoy them so much I can't quit playing. Helping with the high school softball team has been like therapy for me. I can teach girls how to pitch and share my passion for this game, and hopefully they even learn a few life lessons along the way. And last but not least, I have my team that I call family, that also includes friends, many of whom are here tonight. I really don't even know why I didn't invite them. I'm sorry, sometimes you have to laugh so you don't cry. My mom passed away earlier this year, and I didn't invite them to her funeral either. But many drove 6+ hours to and supported me and lifted me up during that time, and they still do. Those that weren't able to make it there were there in spirit and have helped me so much. How lucky am I? These are my people and I love them dearly, and I would not be here without their love and support. Thank you. The biggest piece of all of this is that this game brought me to VCSU. In hindsight, it was the biggest and best decision I ever made, but it really wasn't a decision. I fell in love with this campus, the people, the town as soon as I got here. It became immediately clear that this was the only place for me. I don't know that I could have done it without my good friend and catcher at the time, Carrie. We had played ball together probably since kindergarten. I took those years for granted at the time, but man, do I cherish them now. Thank you, Coach Diane, for seeing some potential in me and providing me with the opportunity to proudly wear VCSU colors. Whilst playing sports here, I got to know some pretty amazing women that mentored, inspired, and supported me. I learned a lot from them. Mel, Shelley, Lisa, Dee Dee, Kelly, 3 Jackies, Lori, just to name a few. And I am so lucky to have the privilege to call them teammates. You made me stronger, thank you for that. My time here was the time of my life, and I cherish the memories and friendships I made here. As with most love stories, there's usually some heartbreak along the way. My style of play was maybe more suited to the football field. If you were brave enough to stand in the base path or block the base, then I was strong and determined enough to go through you to get to that base safely. So my last game as a college athlete was a little more bitter than sweet. I watched the last few innings as a spectator on the wrong side of the fence. My last play ever was running bases as I had done countless times before. As I rounded second and returned to the bag safely but not without contact, the umpire ejected me from the game. I did not go around, I went through, I played the game hard and I was aggressive. But I let my team down. I was embarrassed and ashamed, and I will forever regret giving that umpire the opportunity to make a call like that. Now, for any naive college kid that was yet to experience the ups and downs of the real world, I was pretty devastated. And in fact, talking about this 20 plus years later still brings about a lot of emotions for me. Never have I been as speechless and dumbfounded as I was a few months later when I was watching a fast pitch game in Fargo. Between innings, the field umpire of the game I was watching picked me out of the crowd and started asking questions. Did you play fast pitch? Did you play VCSU? Did you get kicked out of a game this year? To all of which I answered yes while hanging my head. Not sure what was coming next, he said. That was me. I was the umpire that ejected you. He looked at me with his half grin and was so proud to tell me this like he was bragging. I was shocked and completely deflated. But over time, I realized that the call was perhaps more about his ego than my game. I know, had Diane been coaching that season, that I would have at least had her as company on the other side of the fence. From this, though, I have learned to stand up for your people and what is right, even when it's the harder thing to do. Being on a team, whether it's family, friends, orchestra, or softball team, there's an alliance and a connection like no other. Don't take it for granted and look out for each other. So I live in Mayville, North Dakota. Just let that sink in. Okay, never in a million years did I imagine I would end up there. My first social work job took me there and I haven't left. I do love where I live, but my original plans were to stay here and get experience. But as it often happens, we can plan all we want, and when something is just meant to be, it's going to happen. In fact, when we played softball against MSU, our goal was to always try and smash the windows out of the gray house that was on the other side of the outfield fence. And that never did happen, but about 5 years later, I married their son. They are wonderful people, and I can't say enough about them. Today is actually my 16th wedding anniversary. To my patient, loving, generous husband, Corey, who I absolutely adore, happy anniversary. I say patient because with him being a Comet grad, and me being a sassy Canadian, and a loyal VCSU Viking, he has had his hands full. But don't you worry, because I can hold my own. In fact, this is also the anniversary of the night I thought I was going to get arrested. Yeah, Dad, I said arrested. We had just returned home from an anniversary supper, and I couldn't help but notice that there was an RV parked a few doors down. And it wasn't just any RV. This was the RV that faithfully supports the Comet football team at every home game, and even some away games, and it belongs to good friends of ours who are actually here tonight. The driver being a Comet football alum. It was in town because VCSU was coming to play Mayville State the next day, and there was tailgating to be done. Anyway, I had an idea, and I tried my hardest to ignore it, but I knew that if I did, I would regret missing this opportunity for the rest of my life. So I texted a fellow VCSU alum, my eye doctor, Mike Rexine, to see if he might be interested in helping me with my plan to tag the RV with VCSU graffiti. And without hesitation, he said absolutely. And showed up minutes later camouflaged and armed with window markers. So I told Corey, you haven't seen or heard a thing, and I snuck out into the darkness. And let me tell you, I am not a good criminal. I was so nervous I spelled VCSU wrong. But I wasn't too worried that the Comet would notice, but anyway. Anyway, we ended up putting football scores from the 80s. Probably your football scores. And anything else that we could come up with. We had that RV tag from top to bottom with graffiti. At one point, a motion light came on and I almost had a heart attack. So needless to say, I did not sleep much that night. And I told Corey the only thing that could make this better is if the Comets win. They didn't. My guilty conscience still haunts me. But it does help to envision Bergie standing in the driveway, ready to call the cops because he'd been vandalized. Only to notice the shiny white pickup sitting untouched in our driveway and gasping, or maybe even yelling, "That damn Canadian." Then proceeding to clean the RV at 2 in the morning. It's safe to say I am proud of my school and I still go to great lengths to show my VCSU pride. I have learned being on the community side of a smaller town with a university, which I was oblivious to as a student athlete, that the university means so much to the community as well, and how not only important, but vital it each is to both. So thank you to the community members here that have invested not just dollars and support for everything this university represents. In closing, have you seen the difference maker bulletin boards that advertise VCSU along the interstate? I've lived that. Coming to VCSU has made the biggest difference in my life. It provided me with the opportunity to play the game I love, to earn a degree, and move on through life with confidence, purpose, and direction. My experience here will be with me through my whole life, and I am forever grateful for the lessons I learned here. Not all easy lessons, but important ones. The life preparation and the friendships I made here. This university has provided me with a strong foundation that I will continue to build on for years to come. In my eyes, you all have made all the difference in my life, as well as countless others. Keep up the great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Kaching. At this time, I would like to call on Jill DeVries to give some closing remarks.
How about we give Corey a round of applause and move it to you again. Apparently you should be really careful. He knows where the skeletons are. In everybody's closet. I just have a few announcements. First of all, just Stacy, I'm sorry. I thought I mentioned everybody was to give a speech, but I will take responsibility for that. Second of all, student athletes in the crowd, anybody had a sandwich on a bus? We still do that. Hall of Famers, again, congratulations. You are invited to breakfast tomorrow morning at 8:30. It is here. You will also be invited to ride in the parade together. We have candy and we have a driver, so you can meet in this building if you choose not to come to breakfast. Bring your family for breakfast. We have alumni recognition tomorrow and award ceremony as well. And you get recognized again in the morning at 8:30 if you show up. Even if you don't, we'll recognize you. At 8:45, we'll meet here then to get on the float. The parade goes through downtown Valley City. Tailgating starts at, the parade starts at 10:30 for all friends and family who would like to be downtown and catching some candy. We also have tailgating that starts at noon, and then the football game of the kickoff is at 2 o'clock. And Hall of Famers, you are recognized at halftime as that event as well. So thank you all for coming. I hope you enjoyed the night. I know that I'm inspired just by hearing the stories. And of course, you know, I've even shed a tear or two. Jed, I almost cried. You said you were going to make me laugh. And I might not have an email from you this week, right? Just kidding. Thank you all for coming. Have a good night.